Good morning, everybody. This is Martin John, and on I guess it's Labor Day, and we're here doing the Tao of the day. I am opening my Tao now, and I'm gonna pick a number, and we'll see what comes up. So not early. I've been sleeping in recently, just dealing with all of my MS stuff that's been coming up, and we're going to say no markup, and then we're going to go ahead and pick 41. Laughing at Tao is perfectly reasonable. I don't know why. I just kind of scrolled to it, picked it. Here we are. Those who live with sincerity, when they hear of Tao, immediately begin to embody it. Those who live casually may trust it at times, but aren't sure quite what to do with it. Those who embrace the manifestation completely laugh and scoff at the very idea. If they didn't laugh and scoff, it wouldn't be Tao. Therefore, you may have noticed progress doesn't always seem to advance. Beauty oftentimes comes off as obscene. The powerful can tend to seem weak. True love can appear tough or indifferent. Wisdom can be mistaken as childish. Great art can appear unsophisticated. Tao is hidden in all of these, imparting what is needed, completing everything. There's an interesting thing about this last two lines, imparting what is needed. When we have challenges in our life, no matter what they are, we could very often find ourselves in a place of feeling as if we're out of line, we're out of touch, we're not connected, right? And that's what there's this big is this difficulty in speaking about Tao and the beauty of Tao and the beauty of surrender to all of this, and understanding that happening is you're being imparted what is needed. What is happening right now is what needs to happen. It doesn't, when you look back at your life and you look at all those difficulties that you have been through, without those, you would not be here. And this is where you need to be. And that's what this sort of refers to, this idea that it's imparting what is needed. In order to get you on the right path, in order to get me on the right path, I had to rock bottom with my addictions. And then I came out of them. Coming out of them, I learned a lot of things. And in order for me to understand and really process how much I learned, I needed to get my MS. And then I needed to control my MS in a way or control my diet so that I could manage my MS and all of this sort of stuff. Now I'm going through more MS sort of, but it's not like, maybe this isn't even about MS, right? Maybe this is about my trusting other people and living in Indiana and all of this stuff, because those are the thoughts that are coming up. The thoughts are, well, Indiana isn't helpful or whatever. And so it's imparting what is needed and utilizing the tools at its disposal to do that. And so when I get the ability to look, when I get the ability to learn about myself through the experience that I'm having, then I get to grow stronger. And so that is what is meant by Tao is hidden in everything, right? Tao is hidden in all of these kind of paradoxes of progress doesn't always seem to advance, and all of these that I read. Imparting what is needed, completing everything. In order for me to become complete, there are lessons I need to learn. There are things I need to experience. There are things I need to go through. Now, if you've heard me talk about the pre-karmic buffet, like that's something that, you would have to align with, and, you have to align with, like, you have these life contracts before you came here that you agreed with other people or other souls to go through. You have a contract with the universe. You have your own desires, right? All of these things are coming together. And when those things come together, that's when you're imparting what is needed. So before we wrap up this 41, we're going to look back at the first three lines. This is three different kinds of people, right? And I'm the second, probably. I probably live more casually than sincerely. I do live sincerely, but I do recognize that there is a lot of casualty in not death, but there's a lot of casualness to my living, because I do still hold the idea that there's a way to control, and there's still, this is they who live casually may trust it at times, but aren't quite sure what to do with it. In moments like this, where, and I'm always getting better at it, and that's the thing, moving into a space of being able to live with sincerity. So if I were to wake up one day without, the ability to walk, I would just be able to be like, this is where I am. Like, that would be an amazing feat, right? That would be an amazing ability to be able to wake up one day and just be like, oh, I can't walk today. Well, this is my life now, in this moment. What do I do? And then I could go to the emergency room, and I could, do all of the things that I need to do to take care of myself, but with calm, without, oh my God, but I still live with, oh my God. So that's living casually. That's not, like, I'm not sincerely surrendered to Tao. I'm not so sincerely surrendered to whatever is going to happen, whatever is going to come up. I'm still grasping on things that I want, things that I desire. I'm still grasping the manifestation as if it has something to give me. But when I can get to a place of being able to surrender all of that, that's when I'll be able to receive whatever the earth and whatever Tao has to give me at any moment. But it's not a desire to be there. It's just that's where I'm moving to, right? And Tao is going to impart what is needed for that to occur. And so that's 41. Laughing at Tao is perfectly reasonable. Julie, how are you?
I'm good. I'm laughing at Dow as well, because sometimes it comes and just smacks me right in the face. It
Oh,
says,
sure
yeah,
does.
love, you're not it, all right.
It's
As
true.
much as I desire to be,
Right.
it's still not, I still get desires. I still get things that I want to do. And I was talking about that this morning when I was saying it's a bright and sunny day and I need to, for some reason, need to organise my day. So
Right.
already I'm stepping right out of town. Going, I need to organise my day. I need to be in control of it. I need to be able
Right.
to get X, Y, and Z done. And then I'm just sat there with like a cup of tea. I'll go talk to Martin John. It's fine.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah,
great.
that's me. I'm the same. I am forever, which is a great thing. I think. This is the thing about it is I'm never going to be perfection. I'm never going to be complete
But see,
Tao.
like, once again, like, when we talk about this 41, we're saying, like, Tao is going to impart what is needed.
Yeah.
Okay. But when we talk about perfection, we have to recognize that this is perfect,
Yeah, yes.
right?
Last time, yeah,
Like, the idea of not perfect is desire.
Yeah.
right, is because you're looking at some place that you want to be in which you are not. And
Yeah.
so when we can be like, no, it's perfect for me to laugh at death. It's
Yeah.
perfect for me to um, freak out when I wake up and I can't move my leg, right? Like that's perfect. There's nothing wrong. There's that, like, is perfect. And now when we are in that state and we can be like, oh, look at that. That's interesting, and do what needs to be done to address it without giving it the credence of emotion or giving it
Yeah.
the credence of, like, that's when we have surrendered to this moment truly.
It's like I was talking to Brad this morning, and that kind of subject came up. Really, it is what it is teaching you in this moment is exactly, really, what it's meant to be. So whatever's going on
Mm-hmm.
is meant to be because that's your learning for today.
Yeah.
Whether you learn it or not, that's also perfect. That
Right.
is what it is. So it is perfect, even though you and your desires say that it needs work.
Right.
That's just your
Absolutely.
desires saying that it
Right.
needs
That's just
work.
right. That's your desires, and that's the influence that you've had by all of the, things around you.
Yeah, yeah,
Like by observing others in the manifestation and listening. And it has to be said that all of that influence is perfect as well.
yes,
And so
yeah. No matter what
those
it is.
right, those influences come in and they're yours. A lot of people like to say, oh, this isn't even mine, this isn't mine, this isn't mine, this is your energy and stuff. And it's just like, but you're having an experience with that energy that they have. That is yours. The
Yeah, the
energy
question.
that they have isn't, but the experience with that energy that you're having is yours.
Yeah, this is what Brad said to me this morning. He sent me a question. And the question was, "Do you believe that the universe conspires against you?"
Yeah.
And I said, "We all like to think that. We all
Right.
like to kind of say, oh, it's just doing it on purpose. The world is conspiring against me, but it's not. It doesn't
No.
care. It
Right.
doesn't. What makes you think you're so special that the world and the universe is going to conspire particularly against you?"
Right. Deep
So,
arrogance.
yeah, yeah. So I thought it's quite amusing. I thought that question was good. And then you're coming and you're talking about the pretty much, the ether and accepting, surrendering to, which is fine. And I find that difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
Now, I
Well,
do.
I'll be honest. Over the last week, while I've been dealing with my MS, it's been really difficult to be able to just say this is what it is. It's a lot easier when I don't talk to other people. Be honest,
Yeah,
and a lot of people get a little offended by that
I
because they're
don't.
like, I'm here. I'm here to help you. I'm here to give you love and all this. And I'm like, yeah,
You can do
but
that anyway, but you don't have to talk to me, love.
right, because for me, like, I am much less attached to the physical world than most other people.
Yeah.
And so when I start talking to other people, they immediately start with this, "Oh, how are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, get off it."
Fuck off.
Because like now I'm being coaxed into a conversation about my feelings, about the
Yeah,
physical things around. And it's like those things aren't real. And then all of a sudden I want to cry and because
yeah,
I'm brought into a place that's fake.
yeah.
That is just manifestation. And it's like I
It, I get the same. I've had that from family, and
yeah.
it's almost as well as the words. the tone takes me down a tunnel, and I actually can feel that happening.
Yeah, yeah.
So I get kind of a bit angry about it, to be honest. I kind of get a bit, hang on, I don't want to go down here, thanks. This is not where I want to, this is not what I want to be filling my world with.
Right. And
Yeah.
and it's, like I got a call from a friend of mine yesterday, and within, just within 2 minutes of getting on the call, I was like, I can't do this. I gotta go.
Yeah.
I was like, no, and I was already in tears because yes, this is an like the ability, like the inability to walk, like all of that is like that's there, but there's no reason for me to focus on that because that's not what's happening right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And so when I can be clear of mind and deal with whatever's happening right now, I'm going to move into the state that I need to move into. So, getting pulled back into the space of like emotion, getting pulled back into the space of, oh, this must be scary. And it's like, well, it's only scary when you ask me about it, right?
Absolutely. For putting great big pointy bloody sticks on it and everything and
Right.
highlighting it in
And
neon
so,
lights.
I'd much rather just kind of like be quiet
Yeah.
and go about my day without being reminded of a thing that I cannot forget.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, I get it. I get that. Yeah. Because, it's I had a conversation a couple of days ago with my sister. And my sister decided to take me back down to the childhood times, which is already a dangerous place for me, as you know, Martin John, because you know a lot about me. But
Mm-hmm.
she was filling in the gaps of what literally happened, the experience that we had before I could remember. So she was giving me some really sad story that she could only remember, but she was placing it very delicately on my dish, on my plate.
Yeah.
And I said to her, thank you, but no thank you.
Right.
I don't remember. That's fine. That's how I want it to be. I
Yeah, and
don't
one
want
day you
your
probably will.
perception.
But
No, I won't,
that's
because I was so small. I was so small.
oh, okay.
But the thing is I do not want her to give that to me on my plate, because she's scraping it off her own plate, kind of thing,
Right.
and putting it onto mine. And I'm like,
And it's
that's not
not
mine
and
to deal
like
with.
that's not like once again, the experience of you having her scrape that off onto your plate, that's yours.
Yes.
Right? That
Yeah.
is yours to learn from.
Mm-hmm.
She has this thing that she is too bitter for her to swallow,
Yes.
and she doesn't know how with it, so she wants to share it.
Yes.
And the thing is that she has to deal with her stuff, and you got to deal with your stuff, and you
Yeah.
shutting her down, you telling her, no, that's yours, sister. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Oh, I didn't do that. I didn't do that.
okay.
I was very, very kind.
Oh, I'm
I was
sure,
very
but
kind, and
you didn't.
yeah.
One doesn't have to be.
No, I was very kind, because I feel I could see what was going on, and I basically told her what I could see, and that I was going to push the plate delicately away and say, I've finished with that now, and you finished with it too. That was my answer.
Good.
That was my answer. But it took some doing, because any minute I had the fork in my hand and everything, I was about to give that a good old chomping. But just as I had the fork in my hand, I thought, hang on, you don't want this. I don't require this. Right, I'm going to push it over there, and we've both finished with it. It's great. Let's move on from there. And it worked beautifully. It worked beautifully, which is really, really nice. But I get what you mean. When people start a conversation that brings your focus in, along with that comes a lot of other stuff, and it's not necessary. Thank you. So saying no is fine.
And and this is although this is an extreme case of it, this is what Dr. Rao was always telling me about, like, don't go back into the manifestation. Don't return.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah,
if you can not return to it, then you will get you will move your spirituality, your openness, your ability to
you'll be on to the
grow
next cycle
present.
in a way.
Right. In and it will be done in a more sincere way, like we're talking about in this 41. Those who live sincerely when they hear of Tao immediately begin to embody it. What I continue doing is stepping out of that embodying into like the manifestation. And then when I'm good, you know, I won't talk to people for a day or whatever. And then I'll be like, oh, I better call this person because I don't want them feeling bad about like,
Yeah, that's their journey, though, Martin John.
right.
That's their
And
journey.
that's the thing. Like I have to learn how to just like, that's your shit. Like, I don't know. Like I
Yeah,
got
give them. Yeah,
like that's
they
and
haven't
I
heard
got to
from
deal with
you.
this. Like,
Yeah, if they haven't heard from you and it bothers them that much, be assured they will ring you.
it's true.
They will ring you. They will come and bother you at some point. And if
Yeah.
you're anything like me, Martin John, I don't contact people for a very long time. But
Oh
they are
yeah, yeah.
still this. Yeah,
I have people like I do a cycle every, you know, like usually I write letters and other things like that. So
yeah.
um
Well, you can write me a letter if you like. I'd love a letter from where you are. That'd be
well,
great.
fuck all. Like I just need an address. Send it over and I'll write you
Okay, I will. I'll send you that. We'll write
one.
to each other because that's absolute fun.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, you're down to 10 seconds on my end. So why don't you jump off and then come back on and I'll
Okay.
then we'll pick a number. Oh, and for those of you who don't know, I've been going on YouTube and going through the Tao one chapter at a time.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I think I'm on 18 now, something like that. So if you're interested in hearing just me talk about, like, read and talk about a chapter, those are there on my YouTube channel.
Wicked. That'd be good
Yeah.
because I think that once you get into a flow, I think this is great. But I think that just to be able to have you talking and explaining without the interruptions, I know it sounds awful, of us, I think that'd be really, really good, actually.
Well, you know, like, and that's, it is great. It is great to talk about each of the lines in each of the chapters. But
It kind of gives us it kind of gives us a chance to interpret ourselves as we're listening to you as well,
right,
which is
and that's
nice.
what's great about Tao of the Day is that I get to like utilize your experience and connect it to. So sometimes the Tao can be a little, you know, like because it's so broad,
Yeah,
you know, so it can be a little convoluted, or it can be a little tricky to understand, well, how does this
yeah,
fit? But when I talk
yeah,
to an individual, we can be like, oh, this is where the connection is, and then you can see how deep those connections actually can be made.
yeah. Yeah, I agree with that because I remember saying to you when I came on the first couple of times that it was beyond my kind of, I know it sounds awful and I'm really talking
No,
myself
no,
down.
no, no.
It was like almost beyond my capability of a way of thinking, a
Yeah,
way of feeling. So it's very alien to me. So to have
right.
someone go through line by line and talking to me and me putting in the things that I did understand, the things that were very earthly, say,
Right.
and
Yeah.
then having that lovely essence of Tao into it. It was
Hmm.
wonderful. It's a real eye opener for me. It definitely enjoyed that. So I can see that using the things that we do daily in the way that we think, and being able to intertwine that into the text is a really good thing, and getting meaning from it. I think that's good. But I think being able then to go and onto the YouTube channel and listen to chapters at a time, then it will be where we start to recognize those interactions and that intertwinement for ourselves. Once we've got, it's almost like the next step for me. It would be go and see if I can find, because we've done Tao quite a few times, see if I can find those connections.
Yeah.
That is beautiful. That's a gift.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, I'm going to pick a number, and the number is going to be 74. Don't ask me why.
74. 74 is don't cut yourself.
Oh, yeah.
People are not naturally afraid to die. It is what we are born to do. Fear of death is important if you want to rule over people. However, you must artificially instill this fear into their hearts to accomplish the kill, as an example to control the masses. Since the beginning of time, there has been one executioner. Trying to take its place will lead to nothing good. As a novice with a master carpenter's tools, you're going to cut yourself.
Yeah.
I like how this one, it talks about death, but it's everything. People aren't naturally afraid. Like, if we get rid of the whole, reference to death, what we have is people are not naturally afraid. So the next line is, it is what we are born to do. Now, if we stop addressing the death, it is referencing to the death. So people are not naturally afraid. They do what they're born to do. There's no fear there. They live. They're born, and when they're born, they're living. So living is what they're born to do.
Yeah.
Fear of death, once again, we're going to stop referencing death, but fear is important if you want to rule over people. However, you must artificially instill fear into their hearts, because fear isn't born there.
Yeah, you've got to give them an idea of what fear is. You've got to give them
Right.
a subject.
To accomplish this, you make up fear as an example to control the masses. So you give them something to be afraid of. You show them something. You really, like how we've done it in our society, is we have closed off most options and have compartmentalized life into this small category of educational and economic strands that you have to go along if you don't want to be afraid.
Yeah. What is acceptable?
Right.
We've created acceptable.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, since the beginning of time, there has been one. Now, we're going to get rid of executioner here. Since the beginning of time, there's been one. And what that one does is one of us. There's only been one.
Mm-hmm.
It's been all of us. That's why we have nothing to be afraid of. But trying to take its place leads to nothing good. Trying to be separate from that one. Trying to be an individual, right? Well, trying to be independent, let's say, because individual really does mean not divisible from the one. But to be independent means separate from the one, right? And so, it's so interesting, everybody wanting to be independent. But it's like, would you be able to be independent of air?
Yeah, would you be able to be independent if there was nothing to be independent from?
Right. Would you be able to be independent of food and of, no, you can't, but you want to be independent in some fashion, right? And
Yeah.
it's such a silly argument and a silly thing to aspire to.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a learning I've had recently.
You're right.
Yeah.
As a novice with the master carpenter's tools, you're going to cut yourself. Like, you're going to hurt yourself trying to do this. You're going to hurt, like, all you have to do is surrender to Tao. Stop trying to be separate. Stop trying to be, stop using your fear, because the fear, right, there's this cyclical thing that's happened. Like, one, we're born without fear. Fear has been instilled in us. That fear forces us to want to go out independent. Now we're trying to take the master carpenter's tools. Why? Because we're trying to be independent. Why? Because we're afraid. Why? Because other people made us that way. Why? Because we were born without fear, and that was going to challenge those in charge.
Yeah. It's that's awesome. Independence is something that I aspired to for so long. I wanted to always be independent.
Yeah.
And I think the fear is because I was, I was rejected, I suppose.
Right.
For many, many years, I was rejected,
And you don't want to
abandoned.
put yourself in the position of, like, if someone rejects you, you want it to be okay without you
Yeah,
being in danger.
yeah, yeah.
You
So
want to live a life in which it's all right for anybody to reject you.
that's right. Yeah. And that's all down to fear,
Right.
fear of being rejected.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned that. That was quite a big learning, that it's, it's, we are everything. We are everyone.
That's right.
So why are we even trying to not be?
That's
Because
right.
without the everyone and the everything, there is nothing. Nothing to prove.
Nothing.
Nothing to be better than. Nothing to be worse than. Without being part of everything. So that is really why independence will cut you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You're hurting yourself because you're not utilizing your power. You're not utilizing all that you are. You're only
Mm.
utilizing this little bit of you that you see.
Yeah. And the
This
thing that
little
you
bit.
see is only your perception in the first place.
Right.
It's only what you think, what you think you are, that you're working with, rather than what you are.
Right. Rather than the whole of that. And the whole of what you are is the planet and
Yeah.
the universe and every other individual and everything. That's the
Yeah.
truth. And and every time you try and be better than or
Yeah.
bigger than that, you are essentially trying to take the master carpenter's tools. The master carpenter knows where you need to be and what needs to happen. And this is what we were talking about earlier when we were looking at 41. It's like, this is imparting what is needed. The master carpenter knows how to, like, look, we're just gonna shave a little off here and you're gonna fit right in here. And you're like, oh, let me do it this way because I want to fit over there. But it's like, no, you don't
That's
go
not
over.
for you, love.
Right. But it's like, oh, but like everybody says if I do this, I'm gonna be. But it's like, now you're trying to take the master carpenter's tools, and
Yeah.
once again, you're going to cut yourself.
Yeah. Well, I've been cutting myself quite a bit lately.
Well,
But it's okay. It's all part of the thing. It's all part of
right,
the
and
whole.
and and that's the lesson. Like, I was told, like, I had an astrological reading not long ago, and a couple months ago, and they told me that transformation for me happens through catastrophe. Um, and it's, like, whatever. It's like, it's true. Like, my addiction was catastrophe. My MS, when it came on initially, like in 2014, catastrophe. This could very well be catastrophic. And so it's okay. but to learn that and to be able to step back and say, okay, well, let's step into it. That's okay.
Yeah.
And it's interesting when someone tells you something like that, because I don't normally like to be told what my future or
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
like that. Like those things
Yeah.
aren't really for me. But I wanted to engage with someone who was new at this thing, and she said that, and I was like, oh, that's interesting, and that makes sense, and I'll take that, and I'm not going to try and align myself with it. I'll just observe, as I always
Yes.
have. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's that observation is something that you've passed that to all very well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that.
Absolutely.
And the things I've got to observe have been amazing.
Oh, you dropped out. You dropped out. Can you come back up and finish that? Or you can just end that there. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining me for Tao of the Day. I'm always coming up. Oh, Johnny's going to join me. That's fun. Hey,
Hey,
Johnny. It's
Mo.
been a minute since
Yeah,
I've seen you here on Wisdom. How are you?
yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm good. Yeah, I've I think I switched off my notifications on Wisdom, so I don't necessarily see when you pop up.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, no, I've been catch. I still listen to your recordings quite regularly, and yeah, and that's always appreciated. So,
Oh,
it's really nice to catch you and speak to you in person again. Um,
yeah.
I missed the beginning of Julie's um chat with you. I'm a bit worried to ask how you are because I think that's sort of the one
Oh,
question you don't want to be asked. So
no.
I
All is well. I am. I believe my MS flare up has quelled, and now it's just about getting getting the sensations back. I have not had major motor function loss. There has been some weakness on my left side, and I've lost most of my pain and temperature sensation on my right side from like my chest down. So those things are there, but not a that's all just whether I get those back, that'll just be I'll experience those things in time. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
it's just part of your experience. Yeah, sure, of
Yeah.
course.
So
Wow.
like
Well,
there are difficult. It's like it's a good experience. Like and having these experiences. It's the hard thing is when you have people that want you to emote and do all of those things, and they draw it out of you, because these are that it is scary, but it's only scary when you are totally enveloped and entrust your life with the manifestation, right? That's the only
yeah,
time that it's scary. When and I have the ability to kind of not do that, but it's very difficult when you engage with other people, because other people really like the manifestation and they really
yeah.
like believe. So it's like that's where the difficulty comes.
Absolutely. And I really hesitated about asking that question. And I know we're very
Yeah.
socially conditioned to ask that question.
Hmm.
And and actually, and in hindsight, I've just realized I often get, it's not a question I like receiving. And
Right. Yeah.
it's one because like you, I've got health stuff going on, and so
Hmm.
it's a question that sort of I don't want people's sympathy. I don't want people telling me,
Right.
"Oh, I'm sorry to hear that," and all that, because it doesn't help my situation. So,
No.
and I don't want you feeling sorry for me. So
Right.
it's just, I want to get some perspective on this, and I want to deal with it.
Right.
And
I've had to tell people, look, you're not giving me sympathy. You're afraid this is going to happen to you. And
yes, and
your fear is what you're trying to get me to carry for you. And I'm not, and I can't do that.
Yeah, exactly. And if they're uncomfortable with what's happening to you, or if they're uncomfortable with well, it's that, yeah, they can't handle their feelings. and
Right.
and that
Yeah.
and and that and that's their stuff that they need to deal with, not to
Right.
project it onto somebody else. Yeah.
Absolutely.
um
And so that's how like that's how we have to deal with it. And and when we talk about like Tao and stuff, we have to be like, okay, where am I now? Where am
yeah,
I?
exactly.
Just like this, it's like I'm not here to take the master carpenter's tools, right? Because like I'm just here to experience this which I'm experiencing. Now, if someone wants to draw me back into it, well, then I have to either step out or be drawn back in and have that experience or whatever. And it's all really beautiful from my perspective, just because I have perspective, you know.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Yeah.
I think it's very difficult, like when you don't have perspective, and when you're constantly drawn back into, you know, and even those people who are in the manifesting sort of world, and they're just like, I want to manifest, and so I'm going to stop thinking bad thoughts. And like that's hard to do when you're around other people, like, because other people have their thoughts. And even though I'm not part of that whole like manifest, like I'm not someone that's going around trying to look to manifest my life, like that again goes along with this idea of you're going to cut yourself because you're trying to control things. um
Yeah.
but I do that. It is very similar, where it's just like, no, it's not like I'm trying to avoid something. I just see the bigger picture. And when I see the bigger picture and I see, yes, okay, I don't have these feelings, and that's okay. Like, it is actually okay. And what does it feel like to not have the feelings that like, and really look at those things and be like, oh, well, now what is this telling me? What is it telling me that I cannot feel on the right side of my body? That's a very specific thing, right? That's
Yeah,
masculine. It's like, I'm not able to feel masculine. I'm not able to feel this sort of energy. Like, what is this, and how does that relate back to me? And these are the questions that I get to go and learn more about myself through.
exactly. That's avoiding the drama that other people are trying to create, and actually listening to the messages that your body is sending you. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I really get that. I have number 12, if that's okay.
That's
Um,
always okay. Yeah.
also a couple of other quick things. Thank you for doing the YouTube videos, or that I just heard you
Oh,
mention that, and
yeah.
I think that sounds great. So I'm just nearly finished my first reading of the Tao, and I'm planning
Oh,
to
right.
start reading it again. And next time I'll read it through with your YouTube videos, or as
Oh,
many of
yeah.
them
Yeah. Yeah.
as actually you've
Yeah.
done. So I do one a day, and I've kind of done it as a sort of, I've added it onto my morning routine, so I kind of
It's
habit
good.
stack.
Yeah.
So towards the end of my morning routine now, I've added that reading of Tao of the Day, and it's given me some momentum. So I like that, and I'll add your YouTube
Oh,
videos
yeah.
as well.
Absolutely. I would love for them to be part of that. Yeah. I'm honored. So number 12 is entitled "The Senses."
Okay. Okay.
As we all were saying, colors blind the eyes of men, sounds deafen the ears of men, flavors dull the tongues of men. Thoughts will lead the mind to turmoil. Desires and greed will lead a life to turmoil. Therefore, the master satisfies her inner vision, allowing external cravings to come and go. External cravings is really the thing that we're looking at here, I think.
Yeah. It's certainly relevant to what sort of we were discussing just beforehand.
Yeah. And it's funny to talk about external cravings after that conversation, because an external craving, like, could for me in this moment be like a craving to feel temperature on my right side.
Yes.
And when I allow myself to give in to that external craving, then desire, right? But
Yes.
if I could follow this where it says allowing external cravings to come and go. Oh, I want to feel. Okay, whatever. Let it go. Like, there's this craving for something physical, the craving for an experience, the craving for more money, the craving for more time, the craving for more love, the craving for more drugs or food or art or color or sound or music or whatever. And it's like being here. Satisfy your inner vision, allowing all, and your inner vision is the thing that's most important. Whatever's happening outside of you is just happening outside of you. It's just something that's happening. It's not. It doesn't have any control over you and the inner you.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking about cravings as well. For me, it comes about because you're not accepting your situation,
Right.
your reality, and that, I personally find that can be very challenging at times to
Mm-hmm.
actually accept my reality, and um and like and and like that verse was saying, I certainly have cravings to want things to be another, or
Yeah.
to be different. And but I get the feeling that things cannot change unless you accept where you are.
Right.
Whether that's right or wrong. Well, no, they. I think accepting where you are, truly accepting where you are, gives you the ability then to see things clearly and actually potentially listen to your heart, and then find a way forward without everybody else telling you what you should be doing.
Right.
I
And I
think
think that this. Go on.
you have an expression I've heard you use before, which I've kind of pondered and elaborated on, and that you say you need to make space for inspiration.
Ah, yeah.
And I've been playing with that a little bit, and I believe absolutely, and I think this verse 12 kind of alludes to that, and that you need to make space for reflection, integration, and inspiration, and you need to make space to be able to listen to your heart.
Yeah, and the phrase, is not make for me on my
Oh,
end.
I'm sorry. Okay.
It's no, that's fine. And I just want to point this out as and not that you're doing anything incorrect. It's leave room
Ah,
for inspiration, right? Because you don't have to make room. You just have to not fill yourself so much that you don't have room for inspiration. Did I lose you?
sorry. Repeat that. I was just writing it down. So
Oh yeah. It's like you want to leave room for inspiration because,
yeah,
like, just like it says here, colors blind the eyes, sounds deafen the ears, flavors dull the tongues. Why? Because you're full of color, you're full of sound, you're full of flavor. You're full.
yeah,
Like, when you eat too much, when you take in too much, when you consume too much data, when you read too much, when you drink too much, when you and you just dropped off. So if you can come back, I don't know how it works. You might have to. Yeah, okay, you got it. Okay, good, because I know, like, my timer's off. But leaving room for inspiration rather than making room. Because it's not something that you do. It's actually something that you don't do, which is fill yourself, right? When you fill yourself with, when you have something to do every night, when like in everything you do, sometimes it's good just to have more room, and you leave room
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's that feels that that's an important distinction that I hadn't
Yeah.
realized. And because make is is very sort of manifestation sort of an
Right. Where
approach
you
to it.
where
So
you can't make room in your life. Your life has room, and you're not going to make more of it, right? Like there's like
yeah,
there, but when you can not, when you can take half of your food and say, you know what, I probably don't need to eat this half, like, and I'd probably be okay. And then you eat, and then it's like, oh, my stomach is not as full, and I'm not as drowsy, and I'm not as, like, oh, and I don't need to drink this much. I don't need to, whatever it is, like juice, even like, I'm not trying to say alcohol. I mean, it could be, but it's like, I don't need to take this much in, even like when with school, like, like I've known people who have like gone to college, got their master's degree, then got their doctorate without stopping. And it's like, is there any room in your life for anything other than that?
yeah, yeah. I'll talk to you about
Filling
that another
all
time.
of, yeah, filling all of that, filling all of these little nooks and crannies of your life really come from the inability to be with oneself, because you don't know what is going to, like, if you don't fill it with something, who knows what's going to come and fill that.
You don't know who you are,
Right.
and so you're trying to fill it with all these external things and all these yeah, and so yeah, I've definitely been down that academic route as well. So
Yeah.
well, that was really good, Martin John. Thank you.
No, good.
That's given me a lot to ponder for today. I'm trying to make a decision, so I now understand that I need to, I need to leave some space.
Yeah,
I need
as
to.
I have had my MS, and so changed my diet quite a bit, and over the last 14 years and stuff, it's interesting how little I really need to eat. Now that doesn't mean I
Yeah.
always eat very little, but um it has also shown me how how I can think clearer with a more empty stomach. That doesn't mean I'm going around hungry. It
It's
just
interesting.
means that
Okay.
the less that my body is processing digestion, like, I mean, I fast 16 hours a day now, so I only eat between like 9 and 5, right? Like, so
Okay.
I'll only eat between these hours of the day, and then come 5 o'clock at night, I start my fast, and I won't eat again until 9, 10 o'clock the next day. And it's really a wonderful way of allowing my body to reset, allowing my mind to reset. And I do believe that it helps the mind think. And it helps because it's not processing anything else. And it's like, oh, I can be calm. I don't have to, work under the circumstances of like having to do 6 things at once. My body has to digest, and I have to think, and I have to do that, and whatever, like, and when I eat, my body's like, okay, digest. And I
That's
do think that
really
there's a lot there. There's a lot there. And it's not just food. Like, I also think that, like, our digital media and other things like that, stepping away from those things and fasting from those things. I think
I
there's a
think
there's a
yeah, I think a digital detox is apps in these times is very helpful. And I
yeah.
also I do intermittent fasting, but not to that degree. I fast for about 12 to 14 hours a day.
Oh
But
yeah.
I've just realized within the sort of 10 hours I do eat, I often cram in 3 big meals. And I was just starting to realize maybe that's not the best thing for me to be doing, actually, in hindsight.
Right.
So yeah, that gives me some more food for thought. So
And that's really awareness, right? Like adding
yeah,
awareness to, well, do I want to eat or do I think I have to eat because I'm
exactly.
accustomed to eating? And what foods, because if I'm going to eat less, and this is how it's really affected my MS, because my MS is more of a mathematical equation. The diet for my MS, it's I only have so much room in my stomach. I only have so much room in terms of calorie count, and I need to get in as many nutrients as possible.
Yeah.
So if I put all of those together, like the nutrient thing, well, I have to eat a lot of greens and a lot of these things that don't have a lot of calories. So I need to make sure that I have calories, but I also need to make sure it's not like going to just fill my stomach. So it can't be like cake, and
Yes.
so and because cake is going to fill my stomach, it's not going to have any nutrients, and it's going to give me a lot of calories. So the mathematical equation gets sort of skewed, and so that's how I have dealt with my diet, and and
It's that's
and that
interesting.
has, yeah,
So
that's helped me sort of understand, like, what is going to make me hungry later and what is not. Like rice and bread and all of these things, no real nutritional value, but take up a lot of space and give me a lot of calories. And it's like, wait, that's not for me and my diet, because of my MS, like, doesn't make sense.
absolutely, it's very much quality over quantity,
Right.
and
Yeah.
that's kind of that's an idea that I often try and expand to the rest of my life, in that it's
Yeah.
quality that I'm looking for, not quantity,
Right.
and inherently actually leaves space. So
Right.
which is
Absolutely.
kind of funny. And I
And I
also
think that
wanted,
that's, go on.
no, please, Karen.
I think that idea of quantity over, or quality over quantity really does give you more. But here we are. I mean, being in the United States, we just like more. It's
Yeah,
not about
yeah,
quality. We have left quality behind a long time ago just for more. The whole supersizing and the whole, like, I just want something huge for my money and I don't want to pay anything,
yeah.
and I want to get, like, I want to get a 24-ounce coffee. It's like, wow, that's a
Yeah,
lot of coffee.
yeah.
But go on.
So no, I was. It's been some time since I caught up with you, so I just wanted
Yeah.
to congratulate Spain on winning the Women's World
Oh,
Cup.
yes, yes.
That was some time ago, but I'm sure it was a good match, and
It
yeah,
was. It was.
yeah, and it was a well-deserved win by Spain. So yeah,
Yeah.
congratulations.
I was really. I watched I watched it. I followed them through. Like, after seeing their first game, I was just like, they're gonna win, and I was and
Yeah,
I
no,
was and I was in that camp from day one. Yeah, their loss to Japan in the group stages didn't end up affecting anything, but I was really happy with their performance and what they brought, and I think we got a decade of dominance of the Spanish women's game, so we'll see how they continue.
yeah, no, that surprisingly, I thought their football was quite. And again, we come back to quality. I was surprised at the quality of their football, and it was
Yeah,
it was a lot closer to the men's game than sort of I was expecting. So yeah,
yeah,
no, that
yeah.
that
The
that
women's
sort of
game is
that
definitely
was impressive.
getting the world's women's game is getting so much better, and I do have to say, like, at the expense of the U.S. women's game. So
Yeah, it's been really good talking to you, Martin John. I
always wonderful.
yeah take care of yourself, and I'll continue listening, and I'll hopefully I'll speak to you again soon.
All right, sounds good.
All right,
Have a good
all
one.
right. Take care, much. Bye.
All right, the senses. Colors blind the eyes of men, sounds deafen the ears of men, flavors dull the tongues of men. Leave room for inspiration. That's a beautiful... Yeah, that came to me years and years and years ago. Someone had quotes, and it was a quote from something. It was, she had like these cards. My ex, she had cards that she picked up. She was like, "Oh, leave room for inspiration," and we really started doing things like that. Like instead of just watching a show in the evening, we just sit just a little bit, just quietly. And it's like, oh, okay, and then on with your day. But leaving those little moments, like today, I'm gonna travel to Virginia with my niece, and my niece, she picks up her phone, and she just has her phone on her all the time, and she's always anxious about making sure she's near an outlet so she can plug her phone in and all of these things. And it's like she's so scared of not having that. And if she could just leave a moment, I try to travel without using my phone. Like I try and just sort of like, okay, whatever. Like I'm here and this is what I'm doing and it's all good. But I try and even turn my phone off before I even get on the plane. But nowadays, it's tough because you got everything's on your phone. So, but leaving room for inspiration, that's a good one today. All right. Well, I'm gonna cut out. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I appreciate you supporting Tao of the Day. This is Martin John, and until next time, keep recovering yourself.